What is up, everybody? It is your local Ottawa fan, and I'm here today to talk to you about the 27-3 win over the Montreal Alouettes. But again, it's preseason football. I actually did a little sleuthing to give you some context of just how important preseason football is. The Ottawa REDBLACKS, the team that hasn't made the playoffs in back-to-back seasons since 2018. The team that has been the pinnacle of ineptitude in the CFL. I mean, the Elks and REDBLACKS have both been pretty bad. But recently, since 2019, honestly, this decade, though they are two teams that have been pretty bad. Let's be honest with ourselves. The REDBLACKS have exactly one season where they lost both preseason games. That was in 2015, maybe their best season ever. So winning or losing preseason games, kind of meaningless. Only twice have they ever gone without a win in the preseason. These were two convincing wins in the preseason. Both of them were pretty good. This was belt to expletive. This was a one-sided affair. In the preseason, it means very little. Look, I've seen teams lose both preseason games and go on to have 14-4 seasons. I've seen teams win both preseason games, go on to have 4-14 seasons. It's nice, right? It gives you some encouragement that, hey, maybe the coaching knows how to win. Maybe we're going to make some right calls. Maybe our depth is a little bit stronger than Montreal's depth. It doesn't mean a whole bunch. It doesn't mean okay, plan the parade. You can win a preseason game by 100. You don't plan the parade. It's just, it isn't that. There are some sports where if you do really well in the preseason, it can mean something good. There's 2 games. There are 2 preseason games. If there were 10 preseason games and we won all of them in convincing fashion, then that might change my expectations a little. Especially because those last few games, you're probably playing with what is effectively going to be your day one roster, barring a few changes. In the preseason and the CFL, there are a bunch of players in this game that got cut. Or ended up on the practice squad. Barnes, not the Bryson Barnes, but the defensive Barnes. It is Bryson Barnes, QB. But no way, I'm looking at the wrong sheet. But in any case, we had a player who got a pick 6, and I'm pretty sure their practice squad. That shows you what this means. A pick 6, and that's not like a Insta roster spot. It's preseason football. But that doesn't mean that we can't analyze this team, this game. Obviously, putting up 27 points and holding your opponents to 3. Holding your opponents to 15 points across 2 games bodes well. Now, how will that translate to the regular season? I don't think that we're going to be holding teams to 3 points a night with any level of consistency. That's very hard to do. But you got to look at how last year's defense and offense were. I found our defense wasn't horrible at the start, and it's just that our offense had very little finish, and then the few times where our offense was clicking, those were the games that our defense said, let's take a vacation today. This is the kind of game that you want to see. Both units are working pretty well. Both units are doing their job. When Montreal is pressing, you get a pick. You hold them to a field goal, that's it. And the offense delivers multiple touchdowns, multiple good drives, couple of field goals. You play well. You play with a level of consistency. So you have an all-around good game. If this was a regular season game, I'd be over the moon. This is what you want to see. This is what Ottawa is not used to seeing in the regular season. And I am hopeful because for the first time, I think our offense has a bit more strength than it has in the past. And I'm going to use this example in my previous video, I thought that I said that Drew Brown was like the unquestioned starter, and I was wrong. Jake Maier's starting game 1, not Drew Brown. And for those of you that tune in at TSN 1200, if you want to hear my thoughts a little bit early, tune in, and I'm always there, calling in, giving some thoughts. I said that I think he should have a short leash. I do. I think that that's something that we haven't had the benefit of having in a little while. A short leash where you can say, look, if you aren't delivering, we got somebody else who could maybe shake things up. I'm going to be honest, unless the offense is doing amazing and the defense is just selling us down the river, if we are 0-3 to start the season, Brown's the starter. Honestly, 0-2. Unless one of the first 2 games, Maier does really well, and the offense does really well, and the defense just falls apart. If we do not have a win in our first 2 games, Drew Brown should be the starter. You could say, oh, well, that's bad for chemistry. Have you seen this team? Have you seen our previous, God knows how many seasons? I think it's 6, 19, 21, 22, 23, 24. That's 6? Our last 6 seasons? One of them was a winning season, only because we were 9-8-1. We still haven't had 10 wins this decade. It's 2026. 10 wins is not a big ask. 18 games, 10. It's not a big ask. So yeah, no, we've tried the other stuff. Now I think it's time to play hardball, to play tough coach. We had the nice guy coach with Bob Dice. Bob Dice, players coach. Seems like such a nice guy. I'm happy he found work somewhere else. But it was time for a change. We got to change. I was watching the game. They showed the key off-season changes. And I mean, I think we're the team that has some of the most changes. And what does it start with? Head coach. Bob Dice is out. Ryan Dinwiddie is in. That might be the biggest blockbuster coach acquiring, not just this offseason, but in the history of the Red Blacks. First off, a coach that's like in the league currently, who is successful currently when we acquired him. Not someone promoted from within the organization. No, like somebody who is already considered one of the best coaches in the league, who has a head coaching position. We poached him from Toronto. Not an easy task. Made him the head coach, the general manager. It is clear he is like the franchise is in his hands. The future of the Ottawa REDBLACKS, it's in his hands. And you know what? I think they're good hands to be in. With how consistently he's made the Grey Cup, won the Grey Cup, made the East Final, which, by the way, that alone would be a pretty significant accomplishment for this franchise. Like, if the Red Blacks make the East Final this year, even if they don't win it, that would be pretty significant, especially if we go in as a lower seed, right? If we host the East semis, we win, and then we play well in the East Final and just don't quite do it, I don't think that there's a single Red Blacks fan out there that would say, oh, wow, I'm so mad. Like, would be upset, but that would be an objectively successful season. That's what we're talking about here. Then you got some teams where like anything but the Grey Cup is a failure. I'm thinking the Lions are pretty much in win now mode. I'd say the Alouettes. I mean, the Alouettes. If I'm Montreal, like you have to be thinking Grey Cup or bust. You have to. We have a coach who's been playing Grey Cup or bust for the past few seasons now. Something we have not had since Rick Campbell. Since 2018. That's the last time we were truly Grey Cup or bust. It's been a while. It's been a while. It's going to be nice to have a new coach who I think is going to be a lot tougher and who's not going to be afraid to put in the hot guy. To put in whoever's playing well. That's why I was a little surprised at the Jake Maier announcement. If I'm being honest, watching this game, Drew Brown played way better. 7 of 8, 69 yards, 2 touchdowns. Average of 8.6 yards. A long of 24. That's good. That's consistent. You can win football games with that. I know it's a small sample size, but when he was on the field, he did well. Mind you, we had other QBs. Max Duggan, really, wow. 6 of 9, 69 yards. That's not bad. Again, small sample size, did well. Meyer, 6 of 9, 35 yards. It's all right. Yeah, compare that to Drew Brown. Who would you prefer? But here's the thing. I would prefer whoever's going to win the game. Meyer looked really good in the first game of the preseason. And at the end of the day, I trust that if this team isn't doing good, we have a replacement. There will be a punishment. If Meyer goes out there, first game of the season, first pass of the season is an interception. Oh man, that sucks. Okay, we go back out on the field. He's doing okay. It's kind of a running drive. He finally goes for a it's another interception. Okay. We put him out a third time. For a third time, he throws an interception. Okay. Bench him. He's not touching the field for the rest of the game. Brown, you're up. And last season, if the same thing happened, if Drew Brown were to throw back-to-back picks, and we go, okay, Crum, you're up. That's where you're like, this game's done, though. We're done, though. Even if our defense does well, and, we give up 2 interceptions, and it ultimately only leads to 7 points. And we're still very much in the game. I'm like, yeah, but, we don't have a quarterback, so we're not going to score any points, so the game's over. And now I'm like, if one of them stinks, there's going to be a punishment. The punishment's going to be, you're done. You're done, buddy. Sit down. We got somebody else. We got an actual replacement. We have an actual backup quarterback. And look, I like Dustin Crum. I do. I've said it before, but the difference between Meyer Brown and Brown Crum, I think Meyer Brown is stronger. I think Meyer Brown Barnes, way stronger. And gives us the ability to be like, look, if it's not going well, before the game is completely out of hand, we can make those changes. We can make the changes that we need to make to say, hey, this game's not over yet, and we actually have somebody else who can go in and do something. We actually have tangible changes that we can make. Even receiving, we've got a good receiving core. Obviously, Khalil the Thrill. Hardy, I think, still is going to be pretty good. This game is all right, 4 targets, 3 receptions for 25 yards. On 4 targets, 25 yards is pretty decent. But who's impressed me the most has got to be Keelan White this preseason. Keelan White's 2 touchdowns last game, 57 yards this game. First round draft pick last year, who's just been great for us. He really has been. And, between him and Pimpleton, those are the young players who you want to see kind of leading this team, becoming the new core of the Red Blacks. They're young, but they're good. And when you have offensive weapons, when you can go to White or Hardy or Pimpleton, and you actually have that choice, and you've got a running game, you have an actual running game. Look at the running back, Greg Bell. There's a running game. You have offensive weapons. You have actual threats. And if one isn't working, it's not just, we're kaput. Just throw the plan in the shredder, close the playbook, and put something else on for the next 30 minutes. Because the Red Blacks are done. No, it's going to be adjust. Do you know how bad this team has been at adjusting, especially at halftime? The past few seasons, where it's just been abysmal. Where you can see that they aren't doing enough, and that if they could just change a little bit, maybe they could, and then they don't, and then they don't. This gives me confidence. And if there's a coach that can do that, it's Dinwiddie. Especially with this roster. That is one other thing we need to mention. They did Lewis Ward so dirty, and I am very pissed off about it. I'm just going to say it. He's my favorite player. I've been open about this. And what they did to Lewis Ward is just despicable. He was in like a bunch of the promotional material for this upcoming season. And then it just got so unceremoniously cut. You would think it would be because you have like somebody really worth replacing him. And I'm going to have to like Brett Lothar. He's our kicker now. I can't see this as anything except a lateral move. I really don't think that he's that much of an improvement over Lewis Ward. And that's where I'm like, he's a fan favorite. He's been beloved. He's been through the worst of it with this franchise. And for a while, he's all we had. We would have a terrible offense, a terrible defense. All we had was a guy who could kick a field goal with some semblance of decency. He was the only decent part of the team for a good 3 years. Some semblance of frequency. Some semblance of consistency. Well, actually, we were consistent in every other aspect of the game. Consistently bad. And to get unceremoniously cut like that, to be replaced with a guy who, let's be honest, in my opinion, is not a major upgrade, I just don't see the vision. I would get it if Lothar was like a decade younger than Lewis Ward. Okay, you're building for the future. Even if their skill level is equivalent, Lewis Ward isn't going to be in the league as long as whoever you're replacing him with. Lothar's not significantly younger than Ward. If he had significantly better numbers, if he was way more accurate than Ward, I'd say, well, you know what? Fair enough. I don't think so. I really don't think we can say that. I think the one thing he has over Ward is that he can kick him from a little bit further out. That's about it. Now, I don't know if this has to do with the cap, maybe, but I just don't. I think that, you get rid of a locker room leader with Lewis Ward. The only thing I can think of why you would do this is that it's because he's a locker room leader. And you want to completely flush out the old guard. You want completely new leaders, new coach, new GM, new everything. Welcome to the Ryan Dinwiddie era. All the old heroes are gone. And, we had a lot of other players gone. Ruby's gone. Braylon Addison. Standback. Players, Santos Knox. Darius Pickett. Players who were, kind of substantial for the team. That's the only thing I can see is that, those players you want to completely wipe the slate clean. New era, new team, new coach, new GM, new franchise. With new leaders, and you want the old guard completely washed away. But Lewis Ward isn't the old guard. He's the old guard. He's the guy who was there in 2018. He's the guy who was our kicker the last time we made the Grey Cup. I don't know. I think that we owe it to him. I really hope that he gets some sort of position, if not as a kicker, is somewhere else in the league. I hope that he's offered a position within the organization because he has been this he has been this organization. No joke. There were years where Lewis Ward, that's the Ottawa REDBLACKS. That's it. Who is the best REDBLACKS player? It's Ward. There's been a while where it's Lewis Ward, and that's really it. Do you know how tough it is to be named a top 10 kicker in your franchise's or top 10 player in your franchise's history as a kicker? And Lewis Ward didn't just make it. He's maybe arguably top 3, certainly top 5. He's a kicker. He set a professional football record for crying out loud. Not a CFL record, a professional football record of consecutive field goals in the regular season. Come on. But when you make a statement like that we're going all new, cleaning house, it's bold, and it comes with, I'm going to back it. That's the one thing I'm going to say. You make the changes like they did. And I do think that despite everyone who I mentioned is gone, with who we've gained, I do think that this team, at least on paper, is better. I think on paper, this might be the best Red Black squad we've seen since 2018. It's not saying much, but it's saying something. And I think that when you do this, there are ways that you can justify yourself. The first, 10 wins. The second, home playoff win. I think if you can get those two things, all is forgiven. All is forgiven. And of course, the third most important thing is, in the Ryan Dinwiddie era, we need, at minimum, a Grey Cup. At minimum, one. But look at what happened last time we took a former Argos coach. His name was Frank Clare. And if you ask me, he did all right. So that's where we sit. That's where we stand. And now it's just a matter of seeing how the season goes. My expectations, I think I've made clear. 10 wins and home playoff win. It's got to be a home playoff win. You can win on the road, but you need a home playoff game, and you need to win that home playoff game. This city has gone far too long without playoff football at home. Far too long. It's been forever. You can't keep this going on and expect this franchise to flourish, because it just won't happen. But we've given ourselves a chance. New look Red Blacks. So let's see how the new season, with these new Red Blacks and the new general manager and head coach, do. The preseason's done. Next game, the regular season starts. And then we get to really see if this team actually is improved or not. And as always, go, Ottawa, go.